Inland Sports.
It's lunchtime at Officiate California 2023. We're joined by CIF State Executive Director Ron Nocetti. Ron, thank you for taking the time to do this for the Inland Sports Show audience. First off, what's the summer like at the CIF State office in Sacramento?
In past years, our summer has been a time to kind of recharge, get ready for the next school year. But, as each year goes on, it seems like there's just more and more things to do. We still get some time to get away, but, especially now with starting the NCAA basketball events for both the boys and the girls, our staff was busy with that. We have meetings with all the different associations throughout the country, meet with our commissioners and executive committee. So for us, the summer is more about planning for the next school year.
And planning obviously includes the increasing of the number of officials, which we are here in Riverside to talk about in conjunction with the NASO summit too. The first question I have is, how do you feel about the state of officiating in California? Obviously, I know numbers aren't where we feel like they need to be, especially football-wise. We talk about San Diego losing 35 some officials this offseason. Just talk about the state of officiating in California right now.
Well, I think it's kind of unreasonable for people to expect to increase the numbers of officials in a real meaningful way when we continue to treat them the way we do when they come out and work for us. And so I think this message is really to all the adults out there, including our own coaches many times, in that, it's one thing to disagree with the call. It's another thing to get just blatantly personal with our officials to the point where they do this they want to enjoy it as well. They do it to get back to the game. They certainly don't do it for money. And so I just think the adults involved out there have to understand that and frankly have to act like adults. I think we always remember that the game is about our student athletes, not about the parents sitting in the stands. And for our coaches, I think sometimes they have to remember that the actions they take during a game, it's one thing to ask an official a question about what they saw, what they called, and do it the right way in a professional way. It's another thing when coaches start throwing their hands in the air, because that starts to incite the crowd and that gets the crowd going. So I would just ask everyone to remember that if we want to keep playing the games, we need our officials. And, if you're that good and you can see the calls from that far away, then think about joining the ranks of the officials with them and getting out there and doing it.
We talk about some changes, with regards to parent behavior and fan behavior, starting, I believe it was last year, right? The new rules that said a parent gets ejected once, they're suspended for that game, twice, 2 games, and then I believe it was a third time they were barred for the season, right?
Yeah, we put them in during COVID, and yet it kind of got forgotten a little bit over COVID with everything else going on. But yeah, our schools are really doing a good job of starting to enforce that, and I think that's the key, is the enforcement part. It's one thing to have a rule, but if the rule is never enforced when parents do something that should cause them to be removed from the gym, then nothing will work. So we ask them that, hey, if you do that, if a parent doesn't deserve to be there anymore, we kind of say they're inviting themselves to leave. And we're gonna certainly accommodate that. And then the second time, they don't come back for the season. And I think the one thing we have to do is we have to make sure to enforce that, because I think other parents see that and then they realize, that could be me next time. I want to watch my child play, so I'm not going to do it anymore.
When it comes to the recruitment and retention of officials, where have we seen the biggest gains this year?
Well, I think the key is, and Brian Seymour, our Associate Executive Director, spoke about that here this morning with our officials associations, did a fantastic job. One thing that he did, I think, that was awesome is at our State Athletic Directors Conference in April, he asked every athletic director that was there in the room. We had over 600 athletic directors. Talk to all your varsity coaches. Ask each of your varsity coaches to find one person out there to join the ranks of officials from among the people friends, family, etc. That's one way to grow it. I think the other way, as you heard Carl Sheffers talk about, is being good mentors. I think, if we can keep an official doing games after year 1 or year 2, where they're going to have some trying times, I think then we're going to see good growth in the future.
Speaking of growth, CIF State's always looking to add new sports. Girls flag down here has been the most recent addition. How are the participation numbers in terms of teams in that sport?
Well, we'll see. We're hearing that there are a lot of schools, it's more than 600 that want to participate. We have to wait and see what actually happens, but it's exciting that we're even hearing close to that number, because I think the one thing that we all remember is we still have about 100,000 more boys playing sports, participating than girls. And that's primarily because in 11-man football, we have 90,000 boys, some girls playing that. So we have to close that gap. That shouldn't be the reason why we accept that we have more boys playing sports. I think girls flag football is going to go a long way to helping us get there.
I do have one question about the CIF State Softball Regional Championships. A little disconcerting that we had so many opt-outs this spring in softball.
Sure, it was, but I think everyone else has to remember how new that event is. So I give you an example. When we first started state swimming, the first few years we had state swimming, we had many swimmers, some of the best swimmers in the state of California, that said, nah, I'm going to move on to start training for either Olympic trials or the summer season, Far Westerns, whatever it might be. And this past year, we saw pretty much every single swimmer in California who made it came. I think we have to also look at how we fit our calendar with other calendars out there. There's a 2-week gap between the southern section and in ours. That's a long time to ask people to wait around. So I think it's incumbent upon us to always look and see how are we doing things that can help improve that as well.
All right, Ron, for those out there that are, across our area or across the state that maybe want to get involved in officiating, how can they best go about doing that?
So either you can reach out. We have information on our website about how to join the officials ranks. And the NFHS, the National Federation of High School State Associations, puts out through social media, and we do the same, how to become an official. You contact us through that, and we will direct you to the appropriate association in your area. And you can do the same thing through our local CIF sections as well. And I encourage everyone to give it some thought. You don't have to look and see how would I fit into that, huge varsity game. There's many levels you can officiate: freshman, frosh soft, junior varsity, to get you to that point. And we'd like to welcome everyone that wants to give it a shot to go out there and do it.
All right, Ron, thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to a great afternoon here in Riverside as we hear Violet Palmer and hear the other speakers this afternoon.
I appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks for clicking on this Inland Sports video. If you're a local business or an organization and you'd like to promote here on the Inland Sports Show, just send us an email, inlandsportshow@gmail.com.